Psalm 127:3. Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. The reality is that are already select don't know it. Being hurt no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs. We, the people, have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title IV says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family value. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fall. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
Childhood, growing and developing years of a person. This is meant to be a highly important time to create morals, fundamentals, and skills necessary to be a success. Instead, the trauma CPS creates in these young minds set a path of disaster, and statistics prove it. In nearly 90% of their cases, the trauma is unnecessary. Time is the one thing that can never be given back. CPS takes away moments in life that can't be replaced. The time just keeps going, doesn't mean a thing anymore. They left as children, and it's up to them when they come home if they know who you are. Each second away is time you will never get back, and keep getting older.
Studies are leading towards incarceration.
Now comes the honorable judge in the halls of justice, where the Constitution will hold strong, and your rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness will trample CPS for all they have done to your child.
The truth and corruption that's revealed to you is enough to make you sick. This is not America we were sold.
Children are being taken from families at the rate of one a minute. It needs to be stopped.
It's time to wake up and abolish CPS.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the casework, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
Oh boy, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another edition of CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I'm your host, the CPS Punisher. It is Thursday night, and we are here to talk live about CPS corruption and the things that you may need to do to educate yourself and to be sure that you do not end up with your kids in the custody of the state that you're involved in. Speaking of the states that you're involved in, there is a chat room right there that you can go ahead and enter your name, your state, please, and do that. And then we would like to speak with you guys while we're throughout the show. That way we can actively pursue maybe some issues that you got, especially today where on board we have our constitutional law friend Charles with us. So it's a good day to ask him some questions about this, and feel free to do so. We love to hear from you guys. We love to interact with you. Please make sure that you are decent to everybody around you and the people in this chat room and the people on the show. We might be harsh towards CPS, but in the end, we're all friends here, and we're all friends with you guys on the chat. So we don't need to be negative towards any one of us that are either on the show or in the chat rooms. We're all positive vibes for this. We want positive moving forward. We're going to manifest our kids getting home, and that's the way that every day of the life that you're living should be. Also, we have the letter for you guys to send to your senators, your congresspeople, whoever you want to send it to. Send it to your neighbor, I don't care. Whoever it can be that can do something about investigating CPS and their Title IV funding fraud that we're pursuing in Hunting for Justice, because these people are spending and taking money that isn't right, that's not supposed to be for them, because they shouldn't be getting all this money. Reunification is the key to Title IV and getting those funds, and they are not doing that, folks. So we need to expose this. That's the way that we can hit them. Also, we have the election coming up. I mean, we have a lot of ways that are coming up real fast that we're going to be able to expose people and get this over with. And hopefully we need to do something. We have to act. Just watching the show isn't enough. Us being on the show isn't enough. We need to actually take action steps to do that. You know, I have a reform bill that I've worked on for the past year that I'm getting closer and closer. And I'm getting ready to launch this thing and try it out in the state of Maine. And, you know, I welcome anybody that wants a copy of that too, to go ahead and email me at abolishcps.com@gmail.com. Please do that, and I will send you a copy of it, because if you want to get that to your state senators and your state Congress and everything to try to get it enacted, and it is a full-blown bill to abolish CPS. It also has the certain steps that may be needed to institute a temporary program, everything. It's a really detailed report, and I want that to start going towards the Congress people and all that. All this stuff, guys, we write. You know, the letter to these people, we wrote this. The bill, we've written this. All of these things are homemade, if you will, right here from CPS Victims Hunting Justice, and we're excited to do this thing. I'm sorry, it's Alexis talking over my ear. I lost power today, and now it's talking over my ear, and I'll fix that. That all being said, everybody, let's bring out our panel. We've got Charles, my friend, the lawyer. We've got Herbert, my friend, the policeman. And we've got Melissa, my friend, the law interpreter. Hello, Brenda. Brenda, you have a story update tonight? Because our guests have seemed to fall in short here. If you want to, if Brenda wants to come in, Melissa, would you send her a link? And maybe we can get a little bit of Brenda's story. See how Herbert hasn't heard that. Maybe she would like to come in.
Okay.
But anyway, how we doing? Don't everyone speak in.
I am good. How are you doing?
Right, that's the easy
Good,
question.
Darren. How you doing, Darren?
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Anybody got any CPS news? Charles, you got any CPS news? Anybody got any CPS news?
I have been on the dark side of the moon from CPS. I've been in, fighting my own battles against the powers that be.
Right. So you've been anti-CPS.
No, not anti, no, not at all. I've just been absent.
It was a joke, Charles.
CPS world.
Yes.
And
well, I got.
Yes, the world's a very complicated place.
That, sir, it is, and so is life. You know, listen, if you ever get knocked down, make sure you land on your back, because if you can see up, you can get up. That's what I have to say to you about that. Kenneth, how you doing, buddy? But I got some news. I got a little news. I'm gonna try to share it here. Hold on a second. I'm not trying to leave. I'm trying to share the story here. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. Lady's face is stuck, so I know it's. Check this out here. In the let me get this off here. Let's see. I woke up to this today. This is gonna let me share it here. Wait. Okay, let's see. Do this to here. No. Go ahead. Oh, there we go.
Hey guys.
Well, he doesn't want to share it, I guess. I don't know if you hear this or not, but so the second really makes me mad that this is playing here. So the state of Maine had their second commissioner step down in the past, I believe it's been months. They said take a job at the private sector, but we know what that usually means. It means it's either too hot in the kitchen, or she's she's just not fit for that job. I mean, come on, she don't just take a job like the director of Child Protective Services from DHHS and then just turn and walk away 4 months later, right? Like, am I out of line by saying that, or do you believe that there's some substance to that?
Hey, we see it all the time on lower levels. I mean, the CPS director that got elected to our county, he was an interim. Hell, he was only there 3 months. He's gone. We got a new one. That one's gone, and we're on to the next one.
Right. So something's to be said for that, right? Like, something's got to be said for that, because you don't just take jobs like that and walk away. So it leaves the question: is it because they're so fast backwards and so dirty and so blah that these people just are like, we can't even take this job? Or do they see the truth?
Well, I mean, in the time, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been dealing with my case, twice as long as the average person. Usually they want you gone and riddance and already had the kid adopted out by 15 months. So my case being 2 years old, does make it a little older than normal. But I have had 11 workers, 7 supervisors, and 4 directors.
Wow. And a partridge on a pear tree, right?
Right.
That's crazy. And then aren't some of them, in your case, some of these people are not even available to testify now on your behalf, right?
Yeah, and we did finally get a court date today, though.
Oh, good for you. Hopefully it's in this decade.
They're currently saying July 19th or something like that.
Good.
That ain't good. That's forever away.
I know it is, but at least it's better than continue indefinitely. So I mean, you got to look at it. We got to take these victories in small little lumps.
Yeah, but that means that it is literally just a few days from being a year from the time the appellate court ordered the de novo be heard in front of the circuit judge. So it means it's taken the circuit judge a year to hear what's mandated every 3 to 6 months.
Charles, what do you know about this, and what do you know about judges taking their sweet time in cases? I mean, is there anything that is sticking with stuff? Like, is there anything?
It's almost unlimited. The place where I was a law clerk, a judicial law clerk after I graduated, the Southern District of Florida, had a rule, which I assumed was normal, that if a motion were pending for more than 90 days without decision, you had a right to a hearing, and that was the only right you had. But I after I left that clerkship, I found out that that is an exceptional rule, and most places don't even have that. Most places, if a judge sits on a case, basically you'll just sit on it, and there's your remedy would be potentially a mandamus, a petition for mandamus to have a hearing. But no, I mean the Southern District of Florida rule is almost unique in the whole country. They have, and even so, even that is only a rule about you're entitled to a hearing. And so some cases I remember had a hearing every 90 days because the judge hadn't decided yet, and that was it. But basically, in the worst is in the Court of Appeals. In the Federal Court of Appeals, sometimes judges will intentionally bury a case by not deciding it. And if you've got a 3-judge panel that agrees on that, there's nothing you can do.
Hey, Brenda's on the show, guys. You see that? Hey, Brenda, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, I was talking about appeals, and you guys were talking about that yesterday too. Because I did, for the children's case, I did appeal all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the first initial appeal, what I found out from the judicial assistant, I had Judge Blue on my case. It was changed over after a year's time to a different judge. But she let me know that you can be appointed, you know, if you want that. It's better. I wouldn't advise it, but you can get a court-appointed officer to do your appeal too. Now, for my husband, there was a lady that did it in Florida for him, and I kind of just went by what she had filed because the guy, his name's Henry Coffin, was supposed to take my appeal or whatever. He said he didn't find any appeal with the grounds, so I ended up doing it on my own. And by using the template or whatever, that lady, her name is Jennifer Barbuto, and she was very helpful throughout that appeal process for my husband. But and then we went to the U.S. Supreme Court in Florida, or the Florida Supreme Court, and then the U.S. Supreme Court.
Hey, Brenda, hold on. Oh, Brenda, 2 things. First of all, you do sound great for about 20 seconds, and then you fade out. So I don't know if it's the earbuds again, because you sounded great last time, if you're on the earbuds again or not. But secondly, can we give some backstory? Can you give your story? Because we don't know, like Herbert didn't know about your story, and we talk about your story so frequently on here. Maybe it would behoove us to, maybe you could give us a little bit about your story, like from the beginning to like how it even became and so on.
How you got into Florida and the him running for election and stuff, and how
right. Let's get from the beginning of this so people know, because you know you're on our boards all the time too. So let's give people a story to hear and know what you're fighting for.
I'm just making sure my internet is connected, because I've been having to actually disconnect it to send Chris messages. It's weird. But yeah, initially we moved to Dixie County, Florida in 2014. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, now we can.
Yeah.
Good. Yep.
Okay. So then we weren't even living there a year when my husband decided he was going to run for sheriff, because he's like, well, election time was coming up. This is 2016. Trump's running. Yeah, he was actually on the ballot with Trump. He got over 1,000 votes. But the thing was, when he was going around to get signatures to be on the ballot, the community, because I go along with him because, let him know we're out there, we're, he brought the sheriff, because he does have law enforcement background. He was
there you go, blurbing out.
I'm sorry?
It blurbs out right there. You keep blurbing out.
So he was a law enforcement specialist in the Air Force. He was a private investigator for many years when we lived up north, and he just knows the law. I mean, he went through all kinds of training for, to be a law enforcement specialist. In any case, the community was telling us that this sheriff that had been in there for, I think he's in there for 5 years by the time we moved there. His dad before him was sheriff before that, and then his grandfather was sheriff before that. So you have a whole bunch of nepotism going on, and you got some pretty stuff coming in there, going to sheriff against a guy that's been there for, and his family's been there for the whole life. So they would tell us these horrible stories. I mean, people.
Hey, Brenda, we're losing your sound again.
Yeah, I'm gonna unplug this. All right, but
try turning the volume on your phone down one click. Sometimes if you have them all the way up, it'll screw with the microphone.
All right. But yeah, if people from all walks of life, like for elderly to young people, black, white, it didn't matter. Everybody had a story to tell about this horrible sheriff and his deputies, just like literally all kinds of stories. So, and then in fact, one person told us, oh, you're running for sheriff? Well, the last person that ran against him, well, we don't know what happened to him, but you better watch out. I mean, they're going to be after you. So we just didn't really take it too much to heart about the whole thing, but we were keeping it on the back burner. But it kind of was strange the way things started going. All of a sudden, we're getting trespass orders. When we was doing the campaign, it was weird. We went into town. In Dixie County, there's the courthouse, and right around the corner is the Dixie County Advocate newspaper that I know I sent Charles a bunch of these newspapers about my husband, and they took stuff that he did up on the internet for entertainment purposes. He's dressed up like different characters, but they really wanted to focus on the fact that he did these films with dressed up like the Joker, and they made a whole mockery of everything involved. But this was one of the people that put a trespass order against us, and it was for me and my husband, which was strange because I went to the newspaper. And my preacher had told me that something was in the newspaper about me and my husband. So I'm like, it was like a couple weeks later, I had to go down, see the newspaper and pick it up. And the lady that handed it to me, she wasn't the lady that owned the paper, but she was somebody that, I offered her 50 cents and she's like, no, go ahead and just take it. It was very friendly conversation. When I got home, I got the cop knocking on my door saying you've been trespassed from the Dixie County Advocate, or just pretty much gave me the address, and I had to figure out who that was. So the other thing is the county attorney was across the street from this newspaper. The county attorney at that time, I didn't know anything about this guy. All I know is I seen a building with a bunch of Trump signs, and it led me to believe it was one of those election campaign offices they opened up that time of year, and they're campaigning there. So, hey, I'm going to take my Trump card, Christmas card that I got sent, and I'm going to go in there and show them and say, hey, would you like to sign this? My husband's running for sheriff. But what happened was is that I had a very friendly conversation with her too. She's like the assistant for the county attorney, and just has the regular law office there. Come to find out, it was a law office, and it wasn't a Trump election office after all. So again, a friendly conversation ensued, and then I get home, and the cops are knocking on my door saying we're trespassing against Osteen's office. So they're setting up this scenario already before election happens that, okay, these people are somebody that, they're leading us. You know what? To me, what they were doing, and throughout my whole case with the children, they're putting up the scenario that you're some type of terrorist, that you hate the government, you hate law enforcement, and these are your beliefs, which couldn't be further from the truth. But how are you gonna, I don't know. They don't have any proof. That's what I say. It's almost like you're guilty before you even have a trial. They pretty much are saying, these are your beliefs, and this is why we don't like you, and we're gonna find every different reason in the book to arrest you. Well, so it was April 4th, 2016. And yes, only me, broke the law by buying marijuana from somebody that I got it from. I did it for my migraine headaches. I didn't have a prescription for it at the time, but I do now. But in any case, this agent they use, and I knew about this. I knew that he was kind of working with the sheriff department. I don't know, because all of a sudden I figure out, well, he just got in all kinds of trouble for all these other drugs. Okay. So in my mind, I'm not even thinking this guy is trying to get off on all these charges for these real horrible drugs. And me, I just like to smoke a little weed. So what happened was I met him in the grocery store parking lot. And it's just the strangest thing, the way it played out. My husband drove. We were also doing some grocery shopping as well. But I was supposed to meet him there. Nothing was ever said over the phone about the reason why we were meeting or anything like that. He told me, he said, stay in your car. I'll come in your car. And my husband, he was out reading a newspaper in front of on a bench in front of the store. It had nothing to do with it. Didn't even know about it. So in any case, he comes in the car. He's got a cup that has it in there. I was only getting a quarter or whatever. It would have been 15 grams. What I seen in there was a lot more than that. But am I going to complain? No, I'm not. Okay, so just left it in the car there, and I'm like, okay, all that happened. Then I decided I'm going in the store. And in fact, I went and we filled up all these water jugs, trying to be thrifty. We were filling up the water at one of those water stations or whatever, and go in the store, talk to Chris for a minute. We're like, okay. And then me and him together, we get in the car, and we decide we're going home. And then we're thinking, oh, wait, tonight is Gotham is on. We're going to go grab some beer. Let's turn around. We're going to get some beer. Okay. So we do that. He's parked in front of the store at that time. Then all of a sudden I'm in the store grabbing a few other things, and a cop comes up to me. It was a lady cop, and she's like, come with me. And I'm like, I didn't steal anything. I'm like, I'm about to pay for this or whatever. And she's like, just come with me. By the time I got out there, Chris was already in handcuffs. He had been talking to my son over the phone because it was literally 5 minutes down the road. My 10 and my 12-year-old were at home. They didn't want to come with us. They were on their computer or whatever. And so another weird thing about that story, and I got to tell you this, I was just telling Charles the other day. But when we pulled in that parking lot, and I'm telling you, there's a sign from God that day not to buy that. That was definitely a sign. where there's, those big trailers they have where they carry livestock across the country, usually filled with cows or something like that. Well, this one was parked in the store, and this parking lot was completely full, by the way. And this was filled with pigs, though, and the pigs are like squealing. And like, this can be like, think about it later, is like, this is definitely like a movie quality information or something with this, the way it played out. Like, I believe it. And ever since that, when I see that God's given me some type of sign, I'm listening to it, at that point. But in any case, my husband told the police officers that my children were at home, unattended, and saying, we have a son. He lives 6 hours away. He's an adult. All our numbers are in the phone. Is there any way you can contact him? Contact our preacher, lives not too far from here. Contact a neighbor, anything, okay? They didn't allow us to have the phone, none of the numbers, and we were both arrested. And they tried to say it was possession and purchase. I guess they messed up everything so bad with the purchase and everything that they only ended up charging us with possession. And it's kind of strange to me, because if there was 31 grams in there, wouldn't that have been split between both of us and say, okay, that's 15 grams a piece? It wouldn't have been a felony. They put more in the bag, and the DEA for Dixie County admitted to packing that bag. So he's the one that put more in there to make it a felony. So in any case, and then they waited for my husband to get in the car to arrest him. And since the weed was in the car, they took my car too. Never got that back. Never got my kids back. So, but the thing is, okay, let me tell you, when they went to the house, my kids didn't want to open the door. My daughter was 12.
Who went to the house? You're talking about who went to your house?
Well, it was Dixie County Sheriff that my husband was running against, Dewey Hatcher. It was 3 deputies and 1 CPS worker. What happened is there's a cop that was at the jail that told me to use his phone, call my son, and tell him to let the CPS worker in. At that time, I had no idea that all those cops were there. Apparently, they were pounding on the door for an hour. My son told me about this at a visit, my little boy. And he said it was Dewey Hatcher. Come to find out that they threatened the kids if they didn't open the door, that they were going to bust it down. Once they were in the house, my son was like, every time we visited that we were able to, like, I think it was a month after all this happened, we started getting visits. My son was crying every time. He's 10 years old. He's crying. He's like, is my laptop broken? I'm like, why do you think your laptop is broken? Because the deputy slammed it shut. The kids were stripped naked with the sheriff in the house, made to shower. They said that they stunk was the reason they were made to shower. They grabbed a bunch of the kids' clothes that weren't even their clothes, didn't even fit them, stuck them in trash bags, took their, their blankets and stuff like that, and just literally stole the kids right out of the thing. It's just like a horrible, horrible situation. I couldn't believe, because how I found out about them being made to take showers, because I called the CPS worker. Her name was Courtney Jones. Believe me, I know all these people's names. But she said, I said, why were my kids' clothes upstairs that they were wearing? I don't understand. I knew what the kids were wearing. And she said, oh, we made them take showers because they smell. I'm like, what? Because my kids just had like a shower the night before or something. And so I was like, I guess they were sweating pretty bad, having the cops knocking on their door, buzzing.
Right, for an hour, scaring the hell out of some kids. Charles, hold on 1 second, Brenda. Charles, at this point, what are you thinking being an attorney and listening to her story?
I hate to say it, but I've heard other stories. I mean, it's tragic. It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. And I'm afraid the fact that he was running for office at the time, puts a very strong spin on the probable interpretation that there was a political motive for doing this. This is basically the Stalinist and Stalinist Soviet and Chinese communist model of how you deal with opponents. When you've got opponents, you arrest the parents and take the kids. It's we don't live in America anymore, and that's the sad truth. The land of the free that I grew up in, that Herbert grew up in, is gone. Not going to presume that Brenda's old enough to remember the good old days, but I do remember a free America, or at least a freer America, and it's not me as a lawyer talking. It's me as a lawyer says I know the steps that have taken place that led us to this point, and basically it's because everyone in the 1960s started subscribing to the idea that we should trust the government for welfare. We needed to depend on the government to guarantee all of our private and all public matters of welfare. That is when we surrendered our freedom, and we did it with the idea that people can't take care of themselves. I mean, this whole thing is just preposterous. I mean, it's bad enough that, to be arrested for a little bit of pot. I mean, it's almost legal everywhere. In the
and that year, when the election did happen, they legalized it medicinally, and like I said, that was a decriminalized amount. And I still have the newspaper that Jeff Sigmeister, the state attorney that is now in prison for bribery and conspiracy, that just happened like 2 years ago. He was arrested with the county attorney I mentioned earlier. They were both involved with bribery, conspiracy. What happened was that they were just like same thing happened with me. They used a drug dealer to I don't know, it was just a mess. You can look up that story, Jeff Sigmeister or whatever. You can.
I knew
Sigmeister during the Terry Trussell case. I mean, that man is corrupt through and through, and he always was. I knew all about him. I mean, it's amazing, and I mean, I guess one aspect of realism here is small town America has always been a place where corruption can thrive, and I don't know what you can do about that except that we have empowered the police, we have given them military tools and a mandate to arrest everybody they want to because it profits the state. And I mean, these are the not so obvious, and I mean, middle class and even some upper class people, see very clearly that there is corruption, but they tolerate it because they remain comfortable. It's people like you and me and Darren and Melissa who have become uncomfortable because of the oppression that the welfare system brings. But I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, trying to tell an Uber driver I had about how I had to get home to be on this podcast. And then she asked, "What's it about?" And I said, "It's called Abolish CPS." And her reaction was, "Why would anyone want to abolish CPS? Protecting children? No, it's a lie. How do you convince people? How do you convince so-called normies that the government, that everything about the government is basically a lie?" that's a tall order until you've experienced.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the $1 million question.
You know, and I do want to say something else that leads me to believe there's so much more involved in with the commission and everything else that's involved with that town, because I was approved for a weatherization program before that. This weatherization program in Florida, I mean, they have an awesome program that comes in. I mean, they totally redo your house. All I was hoping was for a new toilet and a window fix, but they replaced all the windows. They did, you know, just everything you can imagine. But the person that was contracted to do the work on my house, so this was in 2015, a year before the children were taken. The person who was contracted to do the work happened to be the son of the sheriff. And all of a sudden, these people were destroying my house. And come to find out, the workers that he hired weren't, like, the electrician wasn't an electrician. He wasn't licensed. The plumber wasn't a licensed plumber. In any case, they decided they didn't like us because of my husband's YouTube films, and literally started destroying the house. Well, then we come to find out, while I was trying to get a copy of my dispatch calls, that I was calling for service to the sheriff because all the stuff that was happening around my home, where they were leaving hazardous materials that my kids would be able to get into, like insulation under the bed, a broken fluorescent bulb in their closet. I mean, just literally the stuff just went. It was solely, my house was being destroyed. Let me tell you, there was leaks everywhere. It was just a mess. So since they never called for service, I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong with this program. I didn't believe that it's really helping people. That's a really true, great program. But the person that's stealing the bids happens to be the son of the sheriff, and I'm going to take him to a small claim to get money back for this whatever.
Yes.
And I could see.
Brenda, but hold on, Brenda. Yes, we got a lot of corruption, but let's stick to the CPS and the DHS side of it.
Okay.
Let's go on to talk about how they arrested. So I found your arrest, an article about you and Chris's arrest online. I was reading it last night. I think it was last night's show or the night before that show. The question was, I think Malibu Dallas had said, make sure you record everything that you see. Now you guys got arrested for recording DHS and CPS, right? Weren't you arrested for covering them? So tell us a little bit.
Yes, and that's why I wanted to talk about. And I think y'all misunderstood that I was talking about Chris's current case. No, when I said we were arrested, that was during the dependency case when we were going through our case plan, and we were made to go to this counselor on the other side of Kingston. So we drove well over an hour to be there. And of course, you know, we're dressing our best. We're like doing everything we can to impress this lady, because we know our children's lives hang in the balance. So we're doing everything we can to make all this happen so we can get our kids back. But one time we went to this lady and she started saying weird things to us, like, and come to find out later, she was just missing because she knew that we made to shower, and she told us that we stunk. When we came to the counseling session,
you're breaking up really badly.
Okay. Well, what happened was the lady, the counselor lady, said we stunk, and that when we left, we had to spray down the room, that it smells awful. We were trying to figure out why she would think that. And we took showers, and my husband thought maybe cigar smoke or something on the way over. No, she said it's just a horrible, musty smell. In any case, as she kept saying things, what she was saying was things that she said Chris said, my husband, that he never said. So the next time we went to a counseling session, he puts a little recorder in his pocket, and he says, I'm not going to have her saying that I'm saying these things that I'm not, and I'm going to put this recorder in my pocket. I knew about it, but it wasn't me doing any recording. So it ends up, some like maybe a month after that, all of a sudden, it's canceled. Like, what's going on? I have no idea. We're going to have to wait for the next court date to figure out why my visit was canceled with the children. I had got all this stuff ready. It was my daughter's birthday celebration. That's why I remember it was in September. And we had all these plans. They knew I had a bunch of plans. I made a blue cake because their favorite color is blue. I mean, we just like presents and cards for everyone. We had this whole thing planned for weeks. And that was canceled like the morning of. So it was like, what? And then come to find out then the morning that we were supposed to be at court for the children, Florida Department of Law Enforcement is busting down our door. And we're like, well, what's going on? Why are you busting down our door? And well, they said we didn't make it to the door in time. They were not, or it was before the light. Coming on. So my husband's like, okay, well, I have to go see if they're gonna arrest us. So I'm gonna hit the bathroom. They came in with semi-automatic weapons, pointing at my husband. He's taking a piss. He's got his hands in the air. Like, what else are you gonna do? And then they handcuffed him. They didn't arrest us that day. They handcuffed him. They said that there was some allegations that my daughter said there was inappropriate things that happened, and that it was on film. So this constituted them, even though we'd never seen this tape of my daughter saying these things, never happened. It was totally ridiculous. But the fact remained, they took all of our computers out of the house and their phones and discs and devices. Yes, they got the recording device that we had at the counselor's office. And so then they had that. And that's when they come back on, it was the night of the election. It was, we're sitting down, we're going to sit down and watch the election, see who's going to win, whatever. They're pounding on our door again. It's like, one time it was Good Friday, and then they do things like on April Fools and on my kid's birthday. It's almost like they strategically think about the most horrible time to do something. But in any case, that day we were arrested. We were supposed to be in court on our criminal case like 2.5 weeks from the time we got arrested. Our court date was December 14th. And so they said that they're arresting Chris for Maxwell County because of the recording. That's where the recording happened again when he recorded the counselor. For me, they arrested at the same time. They are arresting us for what do they call it? Eavesdropping. Okay. Eavesdropping. So this is the thing, eavesdropping. And then they said with me, it's because I was again, Brenda. With the Partnership for Strong Families, the same as CPS.
Brenda, are you saying that they accused you of wiretapping?
They said they were being arrested for eavesdropping.
The eavesdropping could only be illegal if it was like somehow wiretapping or something. I mean, eavesdropping isn't sitting next to somebody and hearing them through the wall or something, or even hitting it next to that's
right. I used to eavesdrop on my mommy all the time.
Everybody does. I mean,
I'm like, what? You can be arrested for eavesdropping? My God.
Well, I mean, if you were doing it over the telephone or the computer, maybe. If you were without.
Well, this because and even back then, I have trouble remembering things. I'm going to record this conversation so I can go back to and say, okay, well, this is what was exactly said. Mm-hmm. I recorded because that meeting I recorded was with supervisors for the partnership. It was my caseworker and one other person from Devereaux. If you guys ever heard about this Devereaux, they have them all over in Pennsylvania. They've been in trouble for all kinds of molesting children and stuff like that. And this partnership is partnered with Devereaux. Look it up, Devereaux.
Hey, Brenda. Brenda?
Yes. Yes.
This is Herb. I've been listening to your story. And as I'm listening, I'm hearing that everybody knows there's an elephant in the room except for you. You can't see the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is your husband that's running for office, and there's people that don't want him to run.
I think I said that, Herbert. So I mean, somebody commented. I didn't call him an elephant, but.
Well, I'm gonna call it. No, I'm gonna call it like it is, Charles. I don't candy. I don't kiss around the candy bush with it. Everything she's saying, I know of those tactics. That's what I'm talking about. I know about those tactics. And the thing is, somebody wants somebody out. Now, I got a question for you. The person that you bought the marijuana from, do you know that person really well?
No, I didn't know them very well at all. I guess I thought they were my friends because it was like a couple.
You have never purchased from this individual before?
Yeah, yes I did. Yes I did. That's why I said I knew them. That's how I knew them, is I used to regularly get marijuana from them.
Okay. And when you got this from them before, you knew that this individual had a rap sheet? In other words, they've been arrested before?
No, I didn't know it because it actually didn't happen till I knew him for about a half a year or something like that. And then all I found out was, and it was very strange about that whole thing, because the judge that was the judge that ended up being on my dependency case, her name was Judge Allison. Then she got remarried, the Banter family, and then now she's Judge Johnson. But
going on again.
But she, I don't even know where I was going with this. Sorry.
No, let's stay on the focus. Let's stay on the question with Herbert.
That's okay. The thing is, Brenda, I'm sorry to say this, but if I didn't know any better, I would say you're a black female and your husband's black also.
You're living in the thing is the white men in there, like I'd say anywhere from 30 to 50. To me, it's there's a lot of white men being targeted because
they're running for office.
Terrorists.
Are these individuals running for office also?
No, but I wanted to warn this other guy that's been on the show a couple of times that, hey, you better watch out. He's talking about moving in. He wants to be sheriff of the first town. I'm trying to tell him you better be careful.
Let's take a pause at this point here because we're rounding out to the end of the time here. But so Charles, I know you picked up on the eavesdropping thing. I know I sent you Brenda, I found an article about you. If you like, I could put it up here on the chat so people can check it out. If you don't want me to, I won't do it. They can do their own research on you. But it talks about you being arrested for the first things, for buying the pot, and then it goes into the DHHS thing. It's on Facebook, the Dixie Advocates, whatever. I don't care. Yeah, you go ahead and post that. I'll paste that up here in the chat, guys. You guys can check this out yourself. But Charles, what are you seeing in line of harassment? Things that like you got DHS going to a house, starting and spreading these rumors that they obviously the only thing that they're trying to get to these people of either they truly did stink or they're just trying to set up the premise of they weren't cleaning themselves, they weren't bathing properly, so there's a reason to remove the kids.
I think they were setting up a premise, and it was probably totally pretextual, but it's a very dramatic thing to say that kids smelled so bad that they made them. But it also puts the kids in the state of mind that they have to submit. I mean, so it's coercion. It's saying to make kids strip in front of strangers is a way of saying we have total power over you. This is basically a psyop to condition them to say they no longer have the protection of their parents, even in their home, where they're being taken from. I mean, it's scandalous. And I mean, I totally agree with Herbert, and I thought I said that actually when Brenda was first talking, but obviously this is a matter of political retaliation and political control.
Interference. It's election interference, really.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It's very similar to what's going on with Trump, even though, I mean, that's a whole different level. But I'm telling you, there's so much similarities. It's unbelievable.
Well, yes, it's exactly that. It's exactly the same thing. Don't you see that? So by you going out buying the happy weed, I mean, they were happy as a fat rat that you bought that. That gave them the license and privilege to go after you and your husband.
Yeah.
And the kids. You open up the license and privilege for them to really go after you.
Well, but Herbert, it ain't even just about him running for a sheriff's position. When you go into an area where they have everything locked down in a way that their corruption runs the district a certain way, it don't matter if you're running for sheriff, if you're running for mayor, or if you're trying to open a medical office for free medical care. Because my ex ran a medical office. We went out to the middle of nowhere where people were broke and destitute. The hospital would not take uninsured people. We opened up a free clinic. And that's how I originally found out who CPS was. Because the bail bondsman that got us out of jail told us straightforward. He says, look, you pissed off people politically by opening a free office because you're taking the tax write-off.
Right.
So you'll get out of here with your freedom, but you're damn sure never going to take your kids home again. Well, me being from Detroit, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I can get a bigger attorney than these people know how to raise. Yeah, well, no matter how big the attorney is, if you're in backwoods America or backwoods Michigan, your ass is grass if you're pissing off people politically.
Exactly. Now, if Brenda her husband were opening up a hardware store, it'd probably be open today.
Yeah. God forbid we try to make the town a better place.
Yeah. No. They don't want you. But see, the thing is, they don't want you to. You're not one of the good old boys. You guys don't belong to the good old boys club.
That's right.
So they're going to try to go after you no matter what. So when you were talking about having that renovation done at your house, I wasn't surprised that the people were doing it probably were not really renovators. There were super snoops that were going in your house to look at everything you got. And as far as that aggravated harassment,
they went through, when they took the kids, I must say that they went through my paperwork and my legal mail as well. They went through my notebooks. And they said that there was cryptic writing in my notebooks.
Whatever.
And that I had
but as far as
numbers
that other thing, but that Charles, I don't know what you call it, but I refer to it, Charles, as aggravated harassment. That means something done by telephone, any kind of telecommunication. And I think they got her on the one that had to do with her video, doing the audio taping. But having the audio tape in your pocket. Now my question, Brenda, is who else knew about the taping you guys were doing?
Nobody knew about it until the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FDLE, came, raided our home, took all the recording devices out of our home. That's when they found that recording. They took it to the Roseanne Rutledge, is her name in Gainesville, a piece of crap, if I must say. I heard other people had similar problems to me because the only job she gets is through Child Protective Services. But that's indeed, when she said, yeah, well, that was definitely her on that recording. And that's the thing is we had every right to record that, like y'all are saying.
You can't in many states. No, you can't record like that. If you're recording somebody and you know you're recording yourself, that's fine. You're recording one other person, they don't have to know they're being recorded in most states. But when you're recording more than 2 or 3 or 4 more people, that's considered aggravated harassment in many states.
Well, now wait, it was just okay. So I knew.
Hold on, Charles. Brenda, hold up. Go ahead, Charles.
That's what I was saying about. I don't know the phrase aggravated harassment, but that may be a New York phrase or something. But
yeah, you may use a different term for it, but it has to do with recording. In some states.
All right, hold on, let Charles go.
In no state permits you to wiretap, and electronic eavesdropping is illegal everywhere, and that's
exactly. But I don't think she did eavesdropping. Charles, I don't think it was eavesdropping on electronic. I think it was the recording that they were doing when they went to the office to do a recording. I believe that's what it was because it falls under that category. So that's why I wanted to know who else knew about it.
They ended up dropping the charges later. So I don't know.
It's one of those statutes that varies from state to state. I'd have to look up exactly what they were charged with in Florida.
What state are you in? Florida?
They were in Florida. They're now in Louisiana.
No. The events that took place. Dixie County.
Florida.
Was that Dixie County,
yes,
Florida?
Yes.
Yeah. I can find out exactly what it's called in terms of the recording. I can research that and find that out.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Well, I mean, don't you have the charges?
She said the charges were dropped.
Oh,
yeah, and eventually, I still have all the paperwork on that too.
But you must have the paperwork from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so just get the paperwork and tell us what the code section you were charged with, the one that was dropped.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And that whole thing about electronic recording and stuff like that, it all falls under one category. And I listened to you about you doing that audio tape stuff, and I knew exactly that's what it was.
Well, you should have been a cop, Herbert.
Yeah, I should have been, But the thing is, I knew exactly what I was hearing. But I also knew that they're going after the husband. They don't want him to run.
Of course. This is what this is all about. This is all about the corruption and the corruption that follows it from Maine to Florida to Louisiana to like this. They've been trapped in this whole time. That's what Herbert. This is that case that we keep talking about. We had Brenda come on tonight, especially for you because you're always like, "This is Brenda." Brenda, you talk to Brenda all the time on the things. Well, this is the Brenda that you refer to. This is her.
Hi, Brenda.
Yeah.
Hi, and we also used to live in Maine as well, so that's why I really we used to live in Maine, and that's why I was attracted to say what's Darren talking about, because Darren, one day my husband's like, hey, look at this, he's asking for people to call in. And that's when I think you were still with Vincent David over there, whatever.
Yeah.
And we called in. That's how I'm like. And then after I talked to Darren on the show, I'm like, well, how do I get a hold of this guy again? And it was like months before I was able to finally get a hold of him.
Before we were able to get into, I still, it's funny as I was looking over my notes the other day, and I said, oh my God, I forgot all about this. That when Brenda and them called me from the first time, but that's when I don't think was your husband. He wasn't in jail at that point, right? He was still out of jail.
No. He was just arrested on March 26th.
Right.
And so an update on that is if Florida doesn't come get him in 2 more weeks, they're going to have to let him go. 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Well, let's pray for him that they're not going to come and take him from that,
That would be great.
But we're getting we're way past our time, guys, so we're going to do the last words. Herbert, you're up first, buddy. Last words, bud.
Well, again, I always say, as far as CPS, if they don't have the proper documentation from a judge to come into your home, don't let them in. Police officer doesn't have a probable cause to enter your home, don't let them in.
All right, you got it. Charles, my man, last words from you, my friend.
I'm a little bit disturbed about that question. I assume you mean if a policeman doesn't have a warrant, because he could say that he has probable cause, and that he, the probable cause can be, something like I saw a felon enter this house, or I thought I saw a felon. They can make up stories. So, I mean,
I thought he saw a putty cat, right? Just like that. He saw a putty cat.
The probable cause, when I refer to the probable cause, Charles, I'm talking about they just made an arrest of somebody that killed somebody else or whatever, and now they're going to go to their apartment and their place of residence to do a search of the residence of that individual. That's probable cause.
All right.
Well, I got probable cause for Charles to do his last words.
I just wonder how people in the house would know that, unless there's a warrant. But anyhow,
Yeah. Unless there's a warrant, the police officer should not be able to come in. But I don't like to leave it there because everybody thinks. Okay, we can talk later, Charles, about that because there are times when the warrant's not necessary.
Anyhow,
imminent danger in the imminent danger situation.
I think that the bottom line is on issues like local corruption and the political manipulation. That is just such an interesting thing because local power has always been easily corruptible, and the only real solution of that is for everyone to be armed with knowledge of the law. And the other thing, of course, is we need for people to stop depending on the government for their welfare, because that's ultimately the only way we're ever going to disempower things like happened to Brenda. If CPS can come because parents have been arrested, that's just preposterous. I mean, it is such an abdication of the overall structure of a family. I mean, in the old days, if the parents were arrested, the neighbors would take the kids, or some relatives would take the kids, and there simply was no automatic state intervention. And now the automatic state intervention is a disaster, and it becomes part of the penalty and part of the power structure. And we've just got to get away from that. Communities exist because when people depend on each other, and when people all depend on the government, then the community disappears because nobody even thinks about relying on their neighbor or their relatives. Everyone thinks only about the government will take care of it, the government agency will take care of it, and that is our death. That is the death of freedom.
That's very, very good. Thank you for that, Charles. Melissa, last thoughts, last words, last something.
Yeah, for those families fighting, never quit loving your kids, never quit fighting for them, because without you, they have no big heroes on their side to fight for them.
That's a very good one. Brenda, last words from you.
Yeah, and I just want to say, and I think it does have a lot to do with like bringing attention to yourself. If you're on food stamps, or if you're on these types of services, these families are targeted. And I can tell you that I'm a parent, that me and my husband have been together since we were 14 and 15. I'm now 58, and that we homeschool our children. Our three oldest are doctors. They graduated top their class. If they can take my kids away, they definitely can take anybody else's kids away. That you feel you're a successful parent and you've never committed a crime in your life, you are not safe from CPS.
That's a fact. All right. Okay, guys. Well, thank you guys very much for tonight. It's been another good show. I appreciate all your time here, and we'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same place, same people, some of us anyway. And we'll be back. All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening tonight. Please, I can't stress enough, be kind to one another. We need each other in this fight. You know what? If you don't like something that you hear on this show, just suck it up, buttercup, and move along. There's no need to make fun of or say bad things about one another. We're all a team. It takes teamwork to make the dream work, and this dream that we need is CPS to be abolished. And that's what I'm working for. That's what all you need to be working for. We're getting our kids back, destroying this CPS machine, and that's it. And that's the way it needs to be. Till tomorrow night, guys, I'm the Punisher. I'm out of here.